Once upon a time, in a galaxy about 1/10 the size of ours, there was a certain dirtball planet by the name of Kerbin, on which lives a curious little race called the Kerbals. Kerbals are little plant people, meaning their green skin absorbs sunlight to produce energy for their bodies. At least, that's what we think. They stand about 3/4 of a meter tall and have 3 chief loves in life. Snacks, which are bad for them because they don't need to eat very much because of the aforementioned photosynthesis and all that. Explosions and flying. The last two are somewhat strange because you'd think that a love of explosions would be detrimental to individual and racial longevity, and that if God, random chance, or evolution had intended the Kerbals to fly, they wouldn't have invented air traffic control. There is one other thing the Kerbals are fascinated by. Space! They really get a kick out of it and are endlessly fascinated by how it works and if you can get snacks from it. In primitive times, it was widely considered that Minmus was made of mint chalk ice cream. There was one tiny problem, though. Space was really hard to get to. But then came an extremely smart fellow named Werner von Kerman, who postulated designs and theories for a thing called a rocket. It was a vehicle that would explode in one direction only, so as to hurl any schmuck unfortunate enough to be stuck at the tip of it into space, in theory. Werner initially got all of his rocket parts from Jebediah Kerman's junkyard company, the owner of which, the titular Jebediah, was instantly sold on the idea of space exploration and immediately changed the name to Jebediah Kerman's Junkyard and Spaceship Parts Company. He also became the guinea pig for all of Werner's early designs, gaining a world record for surviving the most number of explosions with all of his parts intact. Jeb, in his enthusiasm, quickly dragged his business partner Bob Kerman into things. Strangely enough, Werner's research assistant, Bill Kerman, also wanted to fly. Even though the first time Bill flew, how shall we put it, he really wished he hadn't had that second cup of coffee, so to speak. The misadventures of Werner and friends trying to figure out how to make rockets go into space captured the hearts and minds of Kerbals everywhere. Soon the government got involved, and instead of cockying up, the government actually set Werner up in some nice digs called the Kerbal Space Center. They sent him the fearless Gene Kerman to run mission control and generally be the one with most common sense, an extremely rare trait for Kerbals. The frugal Mortimer Kerman to keep the books, Linus Kerman as Werner's new research assistant, the perpetually nervous Walt Kerman to handle PR, and Gus Kerman, who is happiest when building things, and seems strangely upset when things get exploded at KSC. At last, all was in readiness. Kerbal kind would be embarking on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which they had ever embarked, to explode things in one direction, to take themselves and their snacks into space! All right, game on. Hey there, everybody. This is Robert from the Game Room Live, and we are extremely excited to welcome you to our new Let's Play series for Kerbal Space Program, where we are going to help these little green Kerbal dudes conquer their solar system, and do it in style, too, and hopefully without blowing up any Kerbals, even though they really like explosions, as we explained in the intro video for this Let's Play. It's mostly going to be me by myself, although some of the other Game Room Live creators will be involved, like my brother Patrick, Josh, Brad, maybe Anna as well, and I'm hoping to be able to get a Let's Play that will be separate from this series, but kind of connected to it with my dad, who actually did work for NASA and one of their contractors, United Space Alliance. But anyway, let's get to the start of the game. And I actually started doing this quite a while ago, but then it was then I found out that version 1.0, you can see it down here, was coming out, and I decided, you know what, might as well just start completely over from the beginning. So here's one of the new additions to version 1.0, Valentina Kerman, the first of the female Kerbals that joined the Kerbal Astronaut Corps. So we're going to start a new game, and we're going to call it, what are we going to call it? We are going to call it, let's call it GRL Space Works. That works for me. Let's pick a flag. What flag should we use? There are a lot of choices. Oh boy. You know what? Let's pick... Let's pick this one. I like it. Let's do it. Okay, we're going to be playing in career mode. We're going to be helping the Kerbals conquer the solar system in career, but we're going to do some custom settings here. We're not going to have reverting flights, but we will allow quick loading. The missing crews will not respawn. No entry purchase required on research. Indestructible stock vessels. Okay, we'll start with 250,000 funds, because that is the maximum you get on easy mode. You might think this is cheating a bit, but you can actually start out with 500,000 funds. So we're just going to start out with a modest 250,000. No starting science, no starting reputation, re-entry heating at 100%. That's a new thing they've added for version 1.0, as well as the resource abundance. Everything else at 100%. Okay, I think we're good to go for GRL Space Works. Let's start. Okay, and then we see Gene Kerman at Mission Control giving us a little tour of the facilities, but I already know pretty much what I'm doing. So let's explain the game here for a little bit. Up here is your you've got your funds. So you see 250,000 funds. This is your reputation bar, currently set at 0. This tells you how much science you've got. Here you can look up your contracts and the completed contracts, and this is the Kerbal Space Center as it appears on year 1, day 1, 0 hours, 0 minutes of the game. At the start of our career mode here. This is the vehicle assembly building where we'll build our vertical rockets to launch at the launch pad over here. The tracking station where we can keep track of everything that's in space. And this R&D facility which we can spend our science at and unlock new technologies. The astronaut facility, where we can get new Kerbal astronauts to fly in our spacecraft and space stations and space planes and whatnot. The administration building, and the space plane hangar where we'll build space planes that take off on the runway here, and also the mission control facility where we can select new contracts. Let's go there now. So we can see Gene Kerman here. Mission control is looking pretty basic, a very basic cinder block facility, actually, with folding chairs. How about that? And because of the level that the Mission Control Center is at right now, we can only accept 2 active contracts, although here in version 1.0, the altitude and distance records and all this stuff have already been put in automatically. So we already have set altitude record of 3,500 meters, distance record of 5,000 meters, speed record of 150 meters per second. So here's the 4 contracts we can get right now. And let's see, that gives it tells you what the contract is, where the contract's coming from, when it expires, and the briefing. It seemed decent for a group of clerks passing by Kerbal World First's record-keeping society that nobody here seemed to be able to tell if we really were out of ideas. Granted, the terrible frequency at which we'd find ourselves proving debatable theories about how we somehow had no clue what to do next was how we got into that situation in the first place. As you can imagine, this is where you come in. We'd like to officially start off the space program with a bang. A very controlled bang, preferably. So that was a lot of words. I'm not going to do that for every contract, I'm just demonstrating. So here it tells us that it's the prestige is trivial, so it's only going to net us a very little bit of reputation there. Expires, so we already got that. The objectives is launch your first vessel off of the launch pad or the runway to achieve this goal. And the rewards, we get an advance of 2018 funds. We'll get an additional 5,321 upon completion, 1 science and 2 reputation, and if we fail, which is pretty damn hard to do, minus 2,200 funds. So let's accept that and escape the atmosphere. We can't really gather scientific data on Kerbal, or at least I don't think we can. Recover or transmit any science experiment data from Kerbal to achieve this goal. Actually, we can do that. So let's pick that right now. So now we've got an additional 15,323 funds from where we had previously. Also, to demonstrate, when you right-click on one of the buildings here, it'll tell you what the upgrade level is right now and what it costs to upgrade. So right now it costs 75,000 funds to upgrade. We won't do that just quite yet. And let's go over here to the astronaut training facility really quick. These are for initially available Kerbal astronauts. The fearless Jebediah, who is one of only 2 Kerbals in the game to have the badass tag, which means he is awesome. Bill Kerman, who was our first engineer, and seems to be actually quite stupid for being an engineer, but when has that ever stopped the Kerbals? Bob Kerman, our scientist, who rightfully has very low stupidity, and Valentina Kerman, the other badass in the game, because she is the first of the female Kerbals and she is awesome. And she is, of course, named after the first woman in space, the Soviet cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova. And over here you can see all the Kerbals we could hire, but the next hire is worth 65,500 funds. Yeah, no, not going to do that just yet. The initial 4 will be good enough for now, and we can only have 5 max anyway. As for there being a pilot, engineer, and scientist, those allow the Kerbals to do some specific things, but they're pretty limited at level 0 right now. So let's get out of there for now and go to the vehicle assembly building. Yeah! Okay, Werner von Karman explaining a bit about the VAB. But our parts are very limited right now, so we'll pick the Command Pod Mark 1. You can see it's got our flag on there. And we need to get it into the air. And right now, really all we have to do with that is this RT5 Flea solid fuel booster. So we'll go and put one on there. We got a structural girder segment. Yeah, that's what they're called. A very, very basic fin. And a parachute. We don't really need fins right now, so we'll just put the parachute on there. And we'll do some science. We got initially the mystery goo containment unit in the earlier versions of the game was not available until you purchased some new technology, but now it is, which is good because we can get some good science off of that. So let's take a look at our engineer's report. We are good because, again, the launch pad hasn't been upgraded yet, so there's only so big a rocket with so many parts we can put together and launch off of it. And it's warning us that our parachute is on the first stage, which is bad. We don't want that. We want our first stage to just be the solid fuel booster. Okay, let's look at the contracts. Gather scientific data from Kerbin. Wait, where'd it go? Oh, here we go. Gosh dang it. You know what? Never mind. Okay, so we will call this... what are we going to call it? Let's call it Boomstick 1. I like that. This is my Boomstick! We'll go ahead and save it, and we'll exit the VAB, because I want to take a look at the specifics of that contract again. Let's see. Recover or transmit any signs. Okay. So we don't have a transmitter, we'll just recover. Okay, here we go. Alright. Wait, quickly before I launch the thing, we'll go to the tracking station. Gene. This is the planet Kerbin. It's about 1/10 or so the size of Earth. Everything in the solar system is scaled. Our home port in space. And over here is its moon. Moon. Some people call it Mun, but I prefer Moon. And it's very much like our moon. But Kerbin also has a second moon, Minmus, which is over here and much further out. We zoom out and now we can see Kerbin's orbital track and the other planets in the Kerbal solar system. Here's the star Kerbal, Moho, the Mercury equivalent, Eve, the Venus equivalent, and Duna, the Mars equivalent. Eve has one moon, Duma has one moon, I think. Here's Dress, which I believe is supposed to be an analog to Ceres or something like that. Jewel, our gas giant for the solar system, and way the heck out here, Elu, the Pluto equivalent. But it'll be a while before we get to any of those. But that is our future, because we're going to be helping the Kerbals conquer their solar system, and that takes place right now with Boomstick 1. And you know what? As much as I love Jebediah, I think we're going to let Valentina have the honor of being our first flight. Oh, and up here it will tell you how much your rocket is going to cost. It's going to cost us 2,942 funds to launch, but we have got plenty. So let's do it. Alright, here we are on the launch pad with the nav ball, G-force indicator, throttle, surface speed, heading. We've got our stage and directional controls, the timer, the mission elapsed timer, the warp factor, which is the time physics and physics warp. Other controls here, and abort button, which we can't really use right now. Our altitude, the atmospheric thickness, ground speed indicator, I think that is. And this controls our lights. We don't have any. We don't have any landing gear. We don't have any brakes. I've never really understood the function of this tab, because it basically tells you the exact same stuff as on the KSC screen, the contracts, the resources your vehicle has, and the alert if you have accomplished any contracts. Here's Valentina in the corner, and she looks really happy. Let's go inside the cockpit and see things from her point of view. Pretty cramped in here, not overly impressive. Very small window. Oh, there's her leg. But here's where it all begins. So first of all, we are going to get a crew report from the launch pad here to start getting some science, 1.5 science. You record the crew's assessment of the situation. We'll keep that for now. And we will observe the mystery goo at the launch pad. The goo doesn't seem to be doing much right now for 3 science. Alright, looks like everything is ready to go, so let's do our first launch. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Oh, wait, forgot to turn SAS on. That's very important. 3, 2, 1. Blast off! Alright. I'm hoping we'll be able to land in the water, which... Let's see, how high are we going to get? 28, 29, 2984, not bad. Observing the mystery goo. The goo jiggles and wobbles as the craft flies for 7 science. Alright, better deploy the parachute and turn off SAS. Whoa, look at it spin. But don't worry, the parachute will right it. Okay, deploying the parachute. Yeah, there you go. Alright, not too bad for our first flight, I don't think. And let's see the splashdown from inside the capsule. Any second now. And oh, there we go. Woof. Alright, excellent. The craft landed intact, and I believe we still have plenty. Yep, we still have plenty of power. I just realized I probably should have gotten rid of the mono propellant because we don't actually need that. We have nothing that can be used. Speed record of 300 meters per second, and that'll get us quite a lot. And again, and 1 science. Alright, but there's still some science we can get, so I'm going to turn SAS on, flip our capsule up this way, and then we are going to have Valentina do an EVA, and we're going to have her take the data out of the capsule, and then we're going to have her store it, and you'll see why in a second. We'll have her get an EVA report, and for some reason it thinks she's still flying over Kerbin's water, and that she thinks this is the most precarious situation for 5.6 science. Okay, awesome. We will now climb back into the capsule, and those two... or that EVA report will be stored. Now we can rotate the capsule. And we'll have her do... Can we do another crew report? Yes, we can. Crew report from Kerbin's water. 2 science. Excellent. And now we'll have her do another EVA. Oh, whoops. I think my devious plan to get a sample out of the water isn't going to work because the capsule flipped up the other way. Because when the state we're at right now, when the pilot exits the craft, the SAS goes offline. So yeah, we'll have her board again and we'll recover the vessel and reap our rewards. Alright, see, we got 24.1 science from that. We got a total of 35. Got 2,819 funds, so we basically recovered the cost of the vehicle. And if you land a vehicle close to KSC or on the runway, if you've got a plane, you'll get more of the value of recovered parts and fuels and whatnot. And Valentina gained 1 XP, and we now have a total of 29 reputation. That was pretty awesome. And from the completion of the gathering the scientific data, we have gotten a ton of funds, so now we have jumped up all the way to 352,000 funds. That is awesome. But this is only the beginning.